Earth. Our cozy little blue marble floating in the cosmic void supporting billions of humans who think their opinions matter. Isn't it such a lovely place to live? We've got oxygen to breathe, water to drink, and social media platforms to overshare our every fleeting thought. But what if, as if we don't have enough to worry about, our dear planet decided to double in size overnight? Sounds like a wonderful scenario, doesn't it? Twice the Earth, twice the fun, or maybe just twice the headache. Let's find out, shall we? Let's start with the most obvious consequence of Earth suddenly becoming twice as big, a delightful increase in gravity. I know. Who wouldn't want to wake up and feel like they've instantly gained 200 pounds without the satisfaction of indulging in an all-you-can-eat buffet the night before? Now, before you start dreaming that the new Earth is just a scaled-up version of the old one, let's talk real numbers. If our radius suddenly doubled, that means our volume would multiply by a factor of 8. And if density remained roughly the same, let's pretend for a moment that the laws of physics don't melt down at this absurd scenario, the mass would also increase by about 8 times. Congratulations, humankind. That means gravity would also spike. Technically, the surface gravity scales with mass and the square of the radius, but because radius doubled, we'd be in for a nice bit of extra weight pressing us down. Sure, maybe some of you are out there thinking, but wait, that's not so bad. I've been meaning to up my strength training anyway. Perhaps. But consider that basic movements like walking, running, even standing upright would become significantly more grueling. Athletes? Yeah, good luck setting a new high jump record. Even we non-athletes who have trouble getting off the couch to grab the TV remote might realize we're effectively pinned to the cushion. At least, Netflix binging becomes easier when you physically can't stand up, right? But don't let your narcissistic delusions of superhuman adaptation get the best of you. Our bones have evolved for a certain gravitational pull, and doubling Earth's size means near doubling or more of that gravitational force. Over time, maybe very little time, your skeleton's brand new best friend would be fractures. And just wait until your heart tries to pump blood against that increased gravitational field. Let's just say cardiovascular health would become an even more pressing matter than remembering to bring reusable bags to the grocery store, so that's the new Earth for you, a planet where the simple act of standing up might lead to an ER visit. Maybe you'll get lucky and adapt over generations, or maybe we'll all just crawl around on all fours, mourning our shattered spines. Isn't that a thrilling thought? But what about nature? You might squeak, still imagining a cheerful Disney-like environment. Great question. Though, if Earth doubled in size overnight, I'm pretty sure Bambi and Thumper wouldn't be prancing around with adorable glee. You see, ecosystems balance themselves based on just the right combination of temperature, atmospheric pressure, gravitational pull, and a myriad of other factors. Doubling the planet's size is sort of like tossing a sledgehammer into a kaleidoscope. Don't expect the patterns to remain pleasing or symmetrical. First, consider plant life. Trees have a particular maximum height and structural capacity. They rely on capillary action, water pressure, and vascular tissues to transport nutrients up their trunks. In a sudden heavier gravity environment, that entire process would face new resistance. Picture a tall oak with the same internal structure and ask it to stand against a gravitational pull nearly twice as strong. It would be like expecting a straw to suck up a thick milkshake from a second-story window, in frustration galore. Many trees, especially the tall, majestic ones, might literally crack under their own weight. Great news for the lumber industry, or it would be if we weren't worried about everything else going to pot. And let's not forget the animals. You know those huge land animals like elephants and giraffes? Yeah, they've already got a tough job, lugging their massive bodies around in normal Earth gravity. Under doubled gravity, they'd be in for a rough time. Elephants lumbering around would face increased stress on their legs and hearts, while giraffes might develop crippling circulatory problems. And as for those adorable birds, if they want to fly, they'll need some serious wing power, maybe a rocket booster or two. Indeed, many avian species might simply give up on flight altogether, returning to their dinosaur ancestors' ground-based ways. Good luck to the ostriches and emus, though. They were already land-bound, so maybe they'll adapt more quickly, or just get pinned to the ground like the rest of us. On the bright side, If there is a bright side, maybe some aquatic creatures will enjoy slightly different deep water environments as ocean basins potentially shift. Or maybe the doubling of planetary dimensions would cause cataclysmic tectonic and volcanic activity that roils marine ecosystems too. Who's to say? But hey, it's not like you planned on visiting the Great Barrier Reef next spring anyway, right? Oh, and while you're busy contemplating the slow-motion train wreck of a twice-as-big Earth, feel free to bless us all with your brilliant thoughts in the comments section. We simply can't wait to hear your groundbreaking theories on surviving heavier gravity, perhaps powered by your unmatched intellect and a can of energy drink. Go ahead, enlighten us with your doomsday prep plans, emotional rants, or any other pearls of wisdom you're just dying to share. After all, nothing says I'm prepared for global catastrophe like typing furiously behind a keyboard. Now back to our regular programming. If you think your day job is stressful now, just wait until Earth doubles in size. Humanity's first concern would be how to, survive. Our physiology has been shaped by millions of years of evolution under a specific gravitational constant. Suddenly ramping that up would be the ultimate stress test. Our fragile, soggy bodies would respond with all the composure of a toddler in a candy aisle meltdown. Let's start with your muscles. Sure, maybe you're a gym rat, bench pressing your little heart out in hopes of impressing people on Instagram. Well, guess what? In this new gravity, your PR wouldn't just plateau, it'd crater. If Earth's mass leaps by a factor of 8 with the surface gravity nearly doubled, your standard 200-pound bench would effectively feel like 400 pounds. Unless you're a Russian powerlifter hopped up on questionable supplements, you're out of luck. Next, let's discuss bones, the scaffolding that keeps us upright. Our bone density developed to handle a certain load. Under heavier gravity, you'd need your bones to become thicker, stronger, more robust. Normally, adaptation can occur gradually through exercise and microfractures that heal and fortify the skeletal frame over time. But we're not talking about a gentle shift here. This is overnight, folks. The immediate stress would lead to widespread injuries, fractures, osteoporosis-like conditions, and an entire generation of chiropractors popping spines or trying to, like bubble wrap. Let's not forget about the heart. That little muscle would have to work twice as hard to circulate blood throughout our bodies. Expect spikes in blood pressure, cardiovascular diseases galore, and overall strain. And good luck with your posture. If you think your back hurts now from slouching at a computer, you'll be hunchbacked in no time once every vertebra is under an extra load. Of course, humans aren't entirely hopeless. Over many generations, assuming we aren't all wiped out by subsequent catastrophic events, natural selection might favor shorter, stockier bodies with thick bones and powerful muscles. In other words, the future might belong to squat, muscular humans basically built like dwarfs from a fantasy novel, minus the magical axes unless we figure out blacksmithing in a high-gravity environment. Regardless, it'd be a slow, painful transformation, so don't hold your breath expecting a quick adaptation, though ironically holding your breath might be easier if you don't mind your lungs collapsing under the new pressure. Poor engineers. The carefully designed buildings that were once marvels of modern civilization would now be fragile towers waiting to topple. Concrete and steel have their limits, and guess what? Doubling the Earth's size and messing with gravity is not in the standard building code. Nobody taught that in Architecture 101, did they? Think about skyscrapers, those arrogant spires scraping the sky with their fancy offices and posh penthouse suites. They depend on structural integrity precisely calculated for 1 gram. Under heavier gravity, stress points would multiply, foundations would crack, support beams would bend. It would be a race to see which iconic tower collapses first. The Eiffel Tower, leaning precariously until it becomes the new Leaning Tower of Paris or the Burj Khalifa, buckling under its own weight and crashing into the desert sands. Place your bets now. But wait, there's more. Transportation infrastructure would also be a wonderful horror show. Roads would crack, rails would warp, and airplanes, good luck getting those off the ground. Commercial flight as we know it would probably end unless we develop some extremely powerful engines with insane thrust capabilities, so if you love traveling to exotic beaches, maybe book your flights now. Or just accept that you'll be pinned to your hometown, possibly pinned to your living room floor if you can't muster the strength to open the front door. And let's not forget about satellites. In your naive worldview, you might assume they'll just keep orbiting as they have been. But an increased Earth mass means different orbital parameters. Existing satellites might find themselves at the wrong altitudes to maintain stable orbits. The next day, you might look up at the sky to see those multi-million-dollar satellites blazing like fireworks in the atmosphere. No more GPS, no more satellite TV, no more mindless scrolling on your phone. Oh, the horror. We'd actually have to talk to each other face-to-face to pass the time, which might be the greatest catastrophe of all. What about humanity's shiny pipe dream of exploring space and colonizing other worlds? In a newly overweight Earth, we'd obviously want to flee our crumbling infrastructure and impending ecological doom, right? Sure, except launching a rocket just got a wee bit harder. Twice the gravity means you need exponentially more thrust to break free from Earth's gravitational shackles. Imagine strapping boosters to a rhinoceros and hoping it'll fly. That's basically your rocket program now. Payload capacity? Slashed. Fuel requirements? Skyrocketed. The cost? Don't even ask. It's like paying for a first-class ticket on the Titanic, assuming the Titanic was trying to blast off into orbit. Current rockets and spacecraft, designed under a lighter gravitational environment, simply won't cut it. We'd need to reinvent rocket engines, materials, and entire launch protocols from the ground up. And let's be real, we can't even agree on what to do with potholes, much less orchestrate a gargantuan engineering revolution overnight. And if, by some miracle, your rocket does leave the launch pad, good luck keeping astronauts alive. Their bodies are already stressed just standing around on Earth 2.0. Extended space travel? Microgravity might feel like a relief, but the process of escaping the planet could turn into a grueling, bone-crushing ride. Even once you're floating in space, you'll face the problem of coming back. Or maybe you'll just decide Mars is somehow preferable to the cosmic fiasco Earth has become. But hey, at least we'd still have ambition and a knack for dreaming big, though the new Earth would be quick to remind us just how heavy those dreams can get. Now let's talk about our dear old companion, the moon. Sure, we like to romanticize it with songs and poems, but let's be real. The moon is basically a lifeless chunk of rock that's important primarily for tides and for giving us something to ruin with footprints and flags, and still it's gravitationally bound to the Earth. And if Earth's mass suddenly increases, that relationship changes. It could even be shredded to pieces if it gets close enough to the new overweight Earth. The moon currently orbits at a distance of about 384,400 kilometers. With Earth's new mass, the gravitational pull between Earth and the moon would also intensify. But that doesn't mean the moon would just come crashing into us, at least not immediately. Orbital mechanics are complicated, and an instantaneous increase in Earth's mass would likely alter the moon's orbit. It could shift closer, or the interplay might cause further orbit modifications. Maybe we'd end up with dramatic new tides. Oh good, more natural disasters. Because who wouldn't want a few city-drowning mega tsunamis rolling across the coastline? And we can't forget about the rest of the solar system. The sun and planets all revolve around their shared center of mass. Throw an 8-fold mass increase into Earth's portion, and you can bet that delicate gravitational dance would experience a cosmic eye roll. The orbits of neighboring planets might shift slightly. Probably not enough to fling Mars into us or anything dramatic like that, but hey, we can dream, right? On the plus side, maybe Earth's new mass would put us on par with bigger planets in terms of cosmic significance. We always wanted more attention in the celestial popularity contest, except, wait, we'd still be dwarfed by Jupiter and Saturn, so we'd just be an intermediate planet with catastrophic surface conditions. That's a real glow-up for our home world, wouldn't you say? Let's address the Earth itself. The poor sphere stuck with 8 times the mass. You think plate tectonics are wild now? Picture the scene when the entire internal balance of the planet is thrown off. The mantle, the crust, the tectonic plates, they're all used to dealing with Earth's existing mass and distribution. Now, you're demanding they handle more weight, more pressure, more everything. Earthquakes? Expect them to become far more frequent and likely more intense as the crust adjusts to the new reality. Volcanic eruptions, potentially more common because the tectonic activity fueling them would go into overdrive as plates shift under a heavier load. That's a surefire way to spice up your daily routine, isn't it? And if that wasn't enough, the atmosphere would also be impacted, depending on how the doubling of size occurs, which, let's be honest, is a magical scenario to begin with. The atmospheric pressure might increase, or maybe we'd lose some atmosphere in the chaos. Who knows? Either way, expect dramatic climate shifts, freak weather events, and general environmental collapse, because it's not like we haven't done enough to our planet already, right? Let's see if society can hold it together when you have trouble walking to your fridge. The day after Earth doubles, you can expect a mass wave of societal collapse. Why? Well, let's list just a few reasons. Infrastructure failure, buildings, bridges, roads, all compromised. Good luck commuting to work if the highway has buckled into a canyon. Agriculture, that depends on stable ecosystems, workable farm machinery, and healthy pollinators. With heavier gravity, plants might struggle to grow. Machinery might become useless, and pollinators like bees might not even be able to fly. Time to start a black market spinach ring. Energy crisis. Fossil fuel extraction becomes more challenging when your rigs and pumps can't handle the added stress. Renewable energy infrastructure might shatter under the increased gravitational load, or we might lack the raw materials to repair them quickly. Maybe we'll all learn to appreciate candlelight again. Economic meltdowns, stock markets, as if they weren't volatile enough, would crash spectacularly. Gold, Bitcoin, property. None of it matters if the new Earth breaks everything we rely on for day-to-day transactions. Well, at least we might unite in bartering Twinkies and bottled water instead of currency. Politically, you can guess how that'd go. Certain leaders will promise immediate fixes. Good luck with that. There will be warring factions blaming one another for the crisis. This was obviously your fault. Expect mass migrations from areas most affected by tectonic upsets to areas slightly less catastrophic, leading to even more chaos. Not exactly the utopian vision of humanity banding together under adversity, is it? But fear not, dear viewers. Humans are notoriously stubborn and occasionally clever. Perhaps we'd see a sudden surge in new technologies to help us cope. Iron exoskeleton suits to support our pathetic frames, giant geodesic domes to protect essential crops from extreme weather, underground cities to escape surface hazards. Sure, all of that might be on the table, if we don't mind living in a real-life science fiction dystopia where the majority of resources go to building survival bunkers. Over generations, we might gradually become squat, robust Earthlings, forging a new relationship with our heavier planet. In the most optimistic scenario, that might lead to a more resilient human species, one that's forced to collaborate and innovate like never before. But let's be honest, that's probably overshadowed by the immediate anarchy, suffering, and ecological collapse. Hey, some of you always wanted to go off the grid. Here's your chance. From a cosmic viewpoint, Earth's sudden doubling might barely register as a blip. The universe has seen far more dramatic events: supernovas, gamma-ray bursts, colliding black holes. To the cosmos, Earth's transformation is like rearranging the furniture in one corner of a dusty attic. Yet, for us, it's apocalyptic. Funny how that works, right? What about life in the broader sense? Earth might remain habitable, albeit in a drastically reduced capacity. Some organisms would adapt or migrate, but the fine balance that's allowed humanity to flourish would be torn apart. Maybe new species would eventually emerge, harnessing heavier gravity in ways we can't imagine. In a million years, the new Earth might be home to bizarre creatures that make our current biodiversity look dull, but that's assuming we don't just blow ourselves up in the meantime. And so there you have it. What if Earth suddenly doubled in size? Oh, just mass extinction events, global infrastructural collapse, widespread human suffering, and possibly a total reconfiguration of life as we know it. Nothing too big to worry about, right? In the end, maybe it's comforting to remember that such a scenario is about as likely as your cat deciding to do your taxes. Earth doesn't just spontaneously expand because some bored cosmic entity feels like playing with a universal blow-up balloon. But if it did, at least we'd confirm what we've always suspected: that we're fragile little creatures who think we're the masters of our domain, only to be brought to our knees by a bit of added gravity. Good job, humanity. 10 out of 10 would watch us flail again. So, next time you're whining about traffic or your achy back, Remember how lucky you are that Earth hasn't doubled in size and pinned you to the floor like a helpless bug. If you somehow enjoyed watching civilization teeter on the brink of absurd disaster, go ahead and stroke our collective ego by hitting subscribe, like, share, and turn on those notifications, because nothing says, "I value my free time," like signing up for more reminders of humanity's fragile grip on existence. Seriously, click the bell if your feeble muscles can still lift a finger.